Hello everyone. We are jumping straight into a critical part of your governance structure, establishing an AI incident response team or an AIRT. In professional terms, an AIRT is a cross-functional group of specialists designated to identify, manage and mitigate the impact of AI-related failures, ranging from technical glitches and security breaches to ethical hallucinations and biased outputs. In simple words, it is your company's 911 dispatch for when the robots go off the rails. You have probably seen this at the office where a server goes down and the IT team scrambles, but an AI incident is different. If your chatbot starts giving out dangerous medical advice, you don't just need a coder, you need a lawyer, a PR expert, and a data scientist all in the same room immediately. I remember a firm that had a major data leak through their AI and they wasted 3 days just trying to figure out who was allowed to turn the system off. An AIRT ensures that those decisions are made in minutes, not days. Understanding that you need a dedicated, pre-trained team is our first step toward looking at who exactly needs to be on that roster, which leads us right into the who's who of the response team. To be effective, an AIRT must have a multidisciplinary composition, which is the formal integration of technical, legal, communications, and risk management experts into a single unified response unit. To put this in simple terms, it's about making sure the engineers aren't the only ones trying to solve a legal problem. Let's break this down together. If your AI makes a biased hiring decision, the data scientist can tell you why it happened. But the legal officer needs to tell you if you're about to be sued, and the PR person needs to draft a statement for the press. I once worked with a bank where the AIRT included a customer ethics liaison. When a model failed, that person's only job was to represent the voice of the person who got hurt by the mistake. Stay with me here. If your team is too lopsided toward tech, you'll miss the human risks. Now that we have our Avengers assembled, we need a way for them to know when to jump into action, which brings us to the concept of detection and thresholds. Every AIRT needs a defined trigger and threshold framework, which is a set of specific criteria such as a certain percentage drop in accuracy or a specific type of offensive output that officially classifies an event as an incident and activates the team. In simple words, it's a smoke detector that tells you it's time to call the firefighters. You've probably seen this at the office. A small bug is just a ticket, but a total system crash is a crisis. For AI, we have to decide, is one rude comment from a chatbot an incident, or does it take 10? I remember a team that didn't set these thresholds. So the AIRT was being woken up at 2 a.m. for tiny typos that didn't matter, while a major bias issue was ignored because it looked like a normal data drift. Let's break this down together. You need clear rules so your team only spends its energy on the fires that can actually burn the building down. Once that alarm goes off, the very first thing the team has to do is stop the damage, leading us to the kill switch phase. When an incident is confirmed, the team performs immediate incident containment, which is the technical and operational process of isolating the failing AI system, sometimes by shutting it down or reverting to a manual process to prevent further harm. In simple terms, it's turning it off and on again, but with a lot more strategy involved. Stay with me here. Shutting down an AI can be expensive. If an airline's booking AI fails, turning it off might cost millions an hour. The AIRT has to decide, do we kill the whole system or just the part that's broken? I once saw a team hesitate to hit the kill switch because they were afraid of the loss in revenue, and that 30-minute delay ended up costing them 10 times more in legal fines later. This is why the AIRT needs the authority to act fast without asking for permission from the CEO. But once the bleeding has stopped, the real detective work begins, which brings us to root cause analysis. After the system is contained, the AIRT conducts a root cause analysis, RCA, a deep dive investigation to determine whether the failure was caused by bad training data, a coding error, a cyber attack, or an unexpected change in the real world. In simple words, it's the autopsy to find out exactly what killed the AI's performance. Let's break this down together. You can't just fix a symptom, you have to find a disease. If the AI is being biased, is it because the data was old, or did someone jailbreak the model with a clever prompt? I remember an incident where everyone blamed the developers, but the RCA found that a third-party data provider had changed their format without telling anyone. The autopsy saved the developers' jobs and pointed the finger at the real culprit. Once we know what went wrong, we have to make sure it never happens again, which leads us to the final step of our journey, the post-mortem. The final peak of the AIRT's job is the post-incident review, PIR, where the team documents every lesson learned and updates the company's AI governance charter to prevent the same mistake from recurring. In simple words, it's turning a mess into a lesson. As a trainer, I always say, never waste a good crisis. If you had an incident and didn't change your rules afterward, you fail as a governor. A professional AIRT writes a report that doesn't just say we fixed it, but says, here is how we will change our testing so this can't happen again. This is how your company builds safety tissue. You move from being reactive to being proactive.